Hello, and welcome to your yoga class. My name is Jenny. This is going to be a core and restore class. So I woke up this morning with a very interesting ache and pain in my neck. I'm sure everyone has experienced this at some point where you're just living your life and suddenly the body's like, oh, no, we're hurt now. And you don't really have a good explanation. I'm sure I did something in my sleep, but that's what I got going on is, I just wake up with that tension, the headache, and, can't really move very well. So selfishly, we're gonna do a little bit of neck work. But also maybe use that as a segue, a little lesson into just, making sure that you're tuning in that you're noticing what you're doing, subconsciously, or I guess, things that could be affecting you that you may not think about. And not just physically. Well, physically it could manifest that way, but emotionally too, psychologically. We've got a lot going on, and this has been a really intense year. 2020 has been very interesting. So just on a psychological and emotional level, we've pretty much been in a heightened state of our fight or flight almost since March. I'm sure it ebbs and flows, but that almost consistent triggering of our nervous system, of those stress hormones, that can affect us physically, it can affect us mentally, and it may be so subtle, and because it's so consistent, it's more kind of like a low hum in the background, but it can start to pile up, and as other things start to happen, those little triggers or that heightened sense of, or that heightened nervous system, that can start to create more issues, and suddenly things can come up that are a huge deal that maybe wouldn't have been before. I know it's kind of a roundabout way of, or maybe a little forced analogy there between my injury and what's going on, but really just comes down to paying attention to what's going on. So, I know what I got going on in my body. Let's take a moment to figure out what's going on in your body. So find a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. And I enjoy sitting up on a prop. I've got a little block. You can sit on a blanket. As far as props for class, I don't have anything specifically planned, but when we get into the restore part, it is often nice to have blocks, blankets, pillows, cushions, anything to build up and support your body as we rest and restore in some of those more longer held poses. So take a moment to gather whatever props you would like, and then find your comfortable seated position. Legs could be crossed, they could be extended. You could plant the feet, drawing the knees in towards the chest. You could even sit in a chair if sitting down on the ground doesn't work for you. And just take some time to settle in, maybe a few little movements, kind of checking in, and close the eyes. As long as closing your eyes doesn't trigger, a trauma or anything like that. When we close our eyes, we can often go in a little deeper as we shut out, what we can see in our physical outside world, and we start to really see inside, see really what's going on. And as you check in, just start on the physical plane. It's the easiest one typically to kind of tune into, to notice any aches, pains, any tension, any tenderness, of course, any injuries or ailments. So check in and be aware of what's going on in the body. Maybe it's something subtle, maybe it's a new injury, maybe it's something that you've been carrying with you, that you've been dealing with for an extended period of time. And as you continue to check in with the body, start to notice the breath. And then you can use the breath to continue to explore the body. And if you find an area of tension or tenderness, feel free to take some deep breaths into that area. If it's accessible, you can even bring a hand or two to this area, maybe in the neck, in the belly, in the back. And as we focus on this area as we breathe. Energy flows where attention goes. So, often you'll hear people say, breathe through your hips or breathe into your shoulders, and obviously anatomically we can't physically do that. But it's this idea of focusing on this area, and as you breathe, letting your energy go to this area and work its magic. And then as you continue to check in physically, kind of switch over to checking in emotionally, psychologically, mentally. And the two could be tied. Our emotional and psychological state can affect our physical state and vice versa. And as you check in emotionally, maybe you are feeling a specific emotion in a specific part of your body. And just as we did physically, I invite you to place a hand or two, if accessible, on any areas where you're feeling deep emotions, maybe feeling a little disconnected from your foundation, from your family, from your root. Maybe you need some love down in your root chakra. Maybe you are missing family, friends, loved ones, missing connections. Maybe there's some pain in the heart that needs some love. Maybe you're lacking self-discipline, motivation, maybe a little love in the solar plexus. Just continue to check in as we really start to settle into our practice. Continue to check in with the breath and then work with any sort of breath control that you would like. It can be as simple as observing the breath and its natural flow without changing anything. You could work with deep belly breathing, sending the belly out as you inhale, drawing the belly in as you exhale. You could practice nostril breaths, breathing in and out of the nose, but of course you always have the option to breathe through the mouth. You could also bring an ujjayi breath, finding that activation of the muscles in the back of the throat to help give an audible quality to the breath. Awesome work. Now with the breath, we're going to take it a step further and do a little pranayama. We're going to do some fire breathing. So this is very active, very generating of heat, and can really fire up the belly. So So fire breath, it's an active exhale, and the inhale just kind of happens. But you do want to put a little emphasis on it so that you can get that audible sound. So the exhale, it'll sound a little bit like this. So it's a forceful exhale out of the nose, almost like a bull getting ready to charge, kind of like a. And if you have allergies or anything, maybe blow your nose first. And the belly is also involved. So as you exhale, as that forceful, you're drawing the belly in kind of abruptly. So we've got that forceful exhale out, we've got the belly drawing in, and then you just kind of release the belly and release the breath for the inhale. So as you release the belly, the breath will naturally come in that inhale, but you want to have a little activation in the nose so that you get that audible sound. So again, it'll be a little bit like this. All right, so that's what we got going on. Go ahead, and when you're ready, take a deep breath in and begin your fire breath. Keep going as the belly draws in. It's a very quick movement, and you might start to feel a little activation in your core too as you draw those belly muscles in. Keep going, just a few more rounds here. 10 more. On the last one, exhale all the way down to empty. And then breathe nice and deep in. Fill up, biggest breath you've taken all day, and hold at the top. Pause, feel, let that heat growing in the body, and then when you need to, exhale all the way out of the mouth. Awesome. Or just take a moment to check in, just to notice any effects of that breath work. A little fire breathing, a little activation into the belly, a little heat in the body. Awesome work. When you are ready, sitting up nice and tall, we're just going to work with some movement in the corset muscles, so building the front, back, side to side. So we're going to eventually get into some torso circles, but we're going to take it kind of slow. So we're going to start by taking the belly forward and back, to the right, back to center, send it back, come to center, to the left, back to center. So forward, center, right, center, back, center, left, center. So continue like that for a few rounds. You could speed up the pace a little bit if you'd like. And the movement is coming from the torso, from the ribs, from the mid-back. There's some arching and there's some flexion through the spine. But we're not moving so much through the upper body. There might be some movement in the shoulders, but we're really trying to isolate and move through that core. All right, so go ahead and finish the round you're on. And then we're going to make this a little more fluid, and we're going to take out that middle kind of check-in. So we're just going to send the belly and torso forward, and then kind of circle it around to the right, send that around to the back, over towards the left, and back up through center. So again, we want the knees nice and heavy. The hips and sits bones are grounded. We've got some movement, some good movement in the torso and those corset muscles. There might be a little natural movement in the upper body and the shoulders, but not too much. All right, and we'll reverse. So we'll come back to neutral, and we'll start by coming forward and center, left and center, back and center, right and center. Again, forward, center, left, center, back, center, and right, center. Take a few more rounds. Again, you can stay at that pace or maybe pick it up a little if you want. Isolated movements through the torso, working little muscles in the core. As well as working with some spinal movement. All right, finish that round you're on with that check-in back at center. And then we'll remove that center check, that center point, and just move in a circle. So we'll send the chest and torso forward, and then circle around to the right, down through the back, over towards the left, and back through center. So we're going in the opposite direction of what we did originally. And you're welcome to speed it up, slow it down. Nice work. Now we're going to continue to work with these movements in the torso. So go ahead and finish the circling. And then we're going to start to come forward into hands and knees, starting to set up our tabletop. And take your time to set this up. Knees are about hip distance. Maybe they're directly underneath the hips. Maybe they're a little further back if that feels better. Hands, you can kind of just see where they fall naturally. They don't need to be directly under the shoulders. They could be a little wide, a little forward. And then we want to lengthen through the spine, gaze towards the ground. And then we're going to take those same kind of movements here, but we'll see a little bit of different range of motion now that the sits bones are lifted and we've got a little more space to move here. So from neutral, so we're not just letting the belly drop here, we're kind of drawing the belly in, so we've got a little neutral spine. There's still a little bit of a curve there, that natural curve of the spine. All right, so then we're gonna send the belly down and come back to center, to the right and center. Send it up and center and left and center. So we'll repeat there, down and center, right and center. Lift it up, arch it out, center and left, center. Last one, belly drops, come back to center, right to center, round out and center and left and center. Now we're gonna take circles here. So we're gonna lower the belly down like we would in cow. And then just start to circle the ribs over towards the right. Bring them up as you circle through cat. Send the ribs to the left and circle back down. Now, depending how big you want to make these circles, take a few more rounds. You could get the elbows involved. The elbows could bend as you come down and around and circle. You could really arch through the spine as you round out. Maybe get the shoulders and the low back involved. Fantastic work. Coming back through center, come to that neutral spine, and we'll just take that in the opposite direction. So this round, we'll start by rounding out, tucking the chin, tucking the toe. And then we'll send the ribs, come back through center, ribs to the right, back through center. Smile the spine as you drop the belly down, back through center, rib shift to the left, back through center. 2 more rounds, round it out, lift the back, come through center, right and center. Smile the spine, drop the belly, back through center, and shift to the left, and back through center. Last round, round out, tuck the chin, tuck the tail, back through center, to the right, and center. Drop the belly down, come back to center, and take it to the left, and back through center. Now we'll circle, so round it out, and then circle the ribs over towards the right. Start to drop the belly down, circle over towards the left, round out, coming back through center. Awesome work. Take a few more rounds here. Again, you could get really deep into this. You could exaggerate with the movement in the elbows through the shoulders, and just find what works for you here. Finding some core activation. Awesome work. Making your way back towards that neutral spine. Now from here, we're going to start to extend the right toes out, keeping the right toes on the ground at first, and just get a little stretch in that leg, maybe a little rocking back and forth. You can press through the heel. Okay, now this is where a little challenge is going to come in. With that right leg extended, we're also going to extend the right arm forward. So you may want to step that left hand out a little bit, just so that, you can challenge yourself by having the hand and the knee right in line with each other. But this is going to be a challenge for the balance. So find that core, and then we're going to start to extend the right fingers forward. Maybe the fingers and toes stay on the ground, or maybe the right foot starts to hover. Maybe the right hand starts to hover. Now there will be some natural shifting more into that to that left hand. But let's try not to shift too much or to open up too much, through the hips. The hips are still squared down. So you can play with the balance here. If it's working for you today, maybe that hand stays down, maybe the toe stays down. All right, awesome work. Now from here, we're gonna open up into a side plank variation. So if you want a little extra challenge, start to open through the hip and open up through that arm. Now that is definitely a challenge. So one thing you can do, you can lower the right hand down and then kickstand the left toes out so that you have a little more, like a kickstand, you have a little more support there. And then start to open up. The right foot could be lifted, it could stay on the ground. We're finding a side plank variation. Awesome work. Again, that left or the right leg could be extended out, right arm could be extending out, whatever works here. Now, we're gonna activate the muscles in the obliques, and we're gonna find a little bit of a flow here. So we're gonna come up through gate pose. We're gonna inhale, lowering the right foot down if it was raised, coming up through center. Arms extend, awesome work. And then exhale, open up into gate pose. Right hand finds the right leg as left arm reaches up. Beautiful work. Inhale, come back up through center, and exhale to your side angle. Whatever that looks like for you. Maybe that leg lifts, maybe it doesn't. And then this is where we'll flow. So coming up through center, exhale, opening up to gate. Inhale, back up through center. Exhale to your side plank. Nice work. A few more rounds here. Move from the strength in the obliques. Don't just use momentum, but find that core engagement. If the knee is sensitive, double up on the mat, kneel on a blanket. Fantastic work. All right, last one here, coming up, opening up through gate. And then we're gonna come through center, arms reaching out. So we've got the right leg extended. We're gonna inhale to reach the arms up and overhead, and then exhale, we're gonna start to dive forward with the chest. So it looks like we're coming down into a child's pose, but we've got that right leg extended out. Just a little stretch for the inner leg. Hips could stay lifted like in a puppy pose. So it might look like this, or you might want to send the hips back. Find whatever works best for you. Beautiful work. When you're ready, we'll slowly start to raise back up. Arms come along horizon. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, come back down into your side plank. Drop the left hand, and then we'll release the right hand down. And we'll just come through to hands and knees. Awesome work. And then from here, feel free to reset. You can maybe take just some cat-cow if you want to take more of those circles through the torso, maybe circle through the hips. Just whatever would feel good to kind of reset between sides. Awesome work. Then when you are ready, we're going to start to take that on the other side. So find first your solid tabletop here. Find that extension through the spine, the belly drawing in, and then we'll start to extend the left toes back. They can find the ground, they can rock back and forth, you can find a stretch through the calf, through the quad, through the hamstring. All right, then those left fingers will start to walk forward. Finding a little more length through the left side body, and then you can kind of play here. Maybe the left hand starts to reach up, maybe it stays down, maybe the left toe starts to reach up. Maybe that toe stays down. Feel free to explore here. This is a challenge. And again, you can play with the placement of the right hand. Maybe it steps out a little bit. We want to try to be as in line as possible, but and like I said, that is definitely a challenge here, trying to balance on just the right hand and right foot or right knee. Fantastic work. And then when you're ready, we're going to start to open up to that side plank variation. So, and maybe you take it from there. Maybe that left hand comes down and you want to kickstand the right foot out and then find that opening. That kickstanding of the leg helps to find opening in the hips, especially if you have tighter hips like yours truly. Awesome work. So we're here. That left arm can be reaching overhead. The left toes could stay on the ground, whatever works best for you. And then we'll find our flow here. So we'll inhale to start to raise up through center. Exhale, open up to gate pose. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, find your side plank. And that left arm could extend up or bicep by the ear. That left foot could raise. Your choice, how active, how challenging you want this. You can double up on the mat to protect the knee and try not to use momentum. Use the strength from those obliques. And we're building those corset muscles, the front core, back core, side core. I know to you men that might not sound so appealing, since you guys will never need to ever wear a corset. But we could all use a good strong core. Whew. Feeling that neck. Awesome work. When you have completed your exploration on this side, we'll come back up through center. Inhale, reaching the arms up towards the sky. And exhale, we'll start to bow it forward, finding our single leg extended child's pose or puppy pose. So again, your choice as you lower down, if the hips stay raised or if the hips sink back to the heel. Just a nice little stretch for the inner leg. Nice release for the back. Fantastic work. A few more rounds of breath. Awesome. As you feel ready, and we'll slowly start to raise it back up. Reaching the arms up towards the sky. Releasing that right hand down towards the ground. And then however you'd like to make your way back to your tabletop. Taking whatever movements feels awesome here. And we'll eventually meet up in our downward dog. So finding a solid connection to the hands. Propping the toes, lengthening through the spine. Draw the belly in. Activate those corset muscles. And then with that activation in the core, start to lift the hips as you make your way to your downward dog. You can keep the knees bent as much as you'd like to help to find that length and straightening through the spine. And if you're working on straightening through the legs, notice if that causes you to shift forward and to round out. If your down dog is looking a little more like this, keep the knees bent, lengthen through the spine. Fantastic work. A few more rounds of breath here. Maybe pedaling through the feet. You could shake the head out, yes and no. All right. Now, you guys ready for this? We're coming to bear pose. So, with that nice straight spine, we're going to bend the knees pretty deep. We're going to lift the head and chest. So we're kind of hovering here. So it kind of looks like if you're coming from tabletop, you're just lifting the knees and hovering back. But we came into it from downward dog. Root back through the feet. Press into the hands. Awesome work. This is a challenge. If you want a little bit more, if it's available to you, on an inhale, draw the right knee in towards the nose or towards that right elbow, and then step it back down. And then switch it out, left knee towards the nose or towards the left elbow, and set it back down. Knees are bent, core is engaged, we're pressing the ground away. If the hovering is a bit too active for you today, a little too much going on, lower the knees, and then continue to draw the knees forward. Awesome work. So we're either coming from tabletop or from bear pose. Continuing to work that core. Continue to breathe. Fantastic work. One more each side. You got this. Right knee in and step it down. Left knee in and step it down. Awesome work. Nice and slow. Lower the knees all the way down. Send the hips back. Extend through the arms. Let the elbows drop. Raise the hands up. If it would feel good, you could roll out through the wrists or shake out through the hands. You could bring the hands to prayer and draw the fingers back towards the shoulders to get a tricep stretch, Or you could just reach the fingers for the shoulders. So right finger is right shoulder, left finger is left shoulder. Find your breath, get a little release for the arms, for the wrists. Fantastic work. And as you feel ready, we'll slowly start to make our way back up to our tabletop, and then we'll find a seat. So you want to sit so you got some space back behind you. Oh, I don't know that I can turn my head that way. Let's try it from this side. Okay, so from here, we are going to take it nice and slow all the way down to the ground. And we're going to articulate the spine as we do it. So we're rounding out nice and slow. But before we do that, let's just take a few rounds of seated cat-cow. Knees bent, feet a little wider than hip distance, grabbing onto the knees. So inhaling, lengthening through the spine, shoulders draw together, chest lifts, gaze lifts. And then exhale, start that articulation as you round out in the spine. Draw the belly in, tuck the chin in towards the chest, separate through the shoulder blades. Awesome work. A few more rounds like this. Inhaling to lift and open, feeling each vertebra move. Exhale, round out nice and slow. All right, now we're taking the same kind of movement, but we're taking it all the way down to the ground. So when you're ready, after you've had your fun in cat-cow, as you find yourself rounding out, hands can stay on the knees, they could walk down the legs, they could extend for a little more activation, they could release down for support. But we're rounding out, one vertebrae at a time presses in as we slowly make our way down to the ground. We're activating through the core. The slower you go, the more activation you're gonna get. Embrace the shake. Shaking will happen. Fantastic work. When you get all the way down to the ground, arms overhead, stretch legs out. Nice big good morning stretch. All right, little more core work here before we get into the restore part. So as you feel ready, we'll start to draw the knees in towards the chest. That'll tuck through the tailbone, lengthening through the spine. If you feel good, you can rock side to side. Or circle through the knees. Okay, then as you feel ready, check in with the spine. We want that nice extension through the spine, just like we had in our tabletop. So the gaze is towards the sky, neck is nice and neutral, or lengthening out through the tailbone. We're gonna interlace the hands, opening up through the palms, placing them behind the head, open up through the elbows, lift up through the chin. Okay, then we are going to work towards getting the shins parallel and the knees in line with the hips. That takes strength, that takes balance, that takes flexibility. So if the knees are further in, that's fine. If the shins aren't quite parallel, that's totally fine. Flex the feet so they stay nice and active, and just work with what you got going on today. All right, keeping the elbows open. We're gonna inhale, raise the head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground, draw the belly down. Pause here, just check in with this. Notice if the elbows start to come together. Notice if the chin starts to crunch down towards the chest. Keep the chin lifting towards the sky, elbows open. Notice what happens in the low body. Notice if you start to lose activation in the feet. Draw the belly down, hug ribs in. One more deep inhale here. Exhale, lower the head and neck down. Awesome work. You can stay working with this, or we'll take it a little step further. I'll just kind of keep adding on. Feel free to stay where you are. Feel free to work with what is best for you. All right, as you feel ready, flex the toes. On an inhale, raise the head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground. Elbows open, chin lifting. Awesome work. If you want a little bit more here, lift through the hips. So that will bring the knees a little closer to the chest. Toes stay active. And you don't need to lift the hips very far. Belly continues to draw down. And it's okay if you shake. Awesome work. One more deep inhale here. And exhale, release it down. If you want to release the feet down, feel free, or they could stay raised. Awesome work, couple more rounds. So again, choose your own adventure, just take it to whatever level feels right for you. So when you're ready, toes flexed, elbows open. Inhale, raise the head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground. Exhale, lift the hips off the ground. Belly draws down. If you want a little more, inhale, extend the right leg up towards the sky. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, raise it back up. Exhale, rebend. And switch. Inhale, left leg extends. Exhale, extended left leg lowers. Inhale, leg raises up. And exhale, knee bends. We'll just take one more each side if you want it. The chin is lifting towards the sky. Tailbone is tucked. Inhale, extend right leg up. Keep the toes flexed. Exhale, lower right leg down. Nice and slow. Inhale, right leg raises up. Exhale, rebend in that knee. Last one on the other side. Inhale, left leg extends. Exhale, extended leg lowers just as far as feels okay. Inhale, left leg lifts. And exhale, rebend in the knees. Inhale, hips and head lift. And exhale, release it all down. Awesome work again. Legs can stay extended for a little more activation, or they could rest down. We've got one more round. And find what works. All right, here we go. As you are ready, elbows open, chin lifting. Feet are raised, shins working to be parallel towards the ground. Flex the toes. Inhale, raise the head, neck, and shoulders up. Draw belly down. You're welcome to pause here, or again, lift the hips up, a little lengthening through the tailbone. If you want a little more, extend both legs up towards the sky. And exhale, just start to lower them down to whatever angle feels okay. The hips will lower, so if they were raised, don't feel like you need to keep them up. And then we'll pause here. Tune in with the low back. We don't want the low back raising up off the ground. No compression in the low back, so maybe the legs are just a little bit past 90, maybe they're at 45, maybe they're hovering just a couple inches above the ground. Whatever works best for you. Elbows open, chin lifting, belly drawing down, ribs hug in. Awesome work. Embrace the shake. Feel that heat in the body. One more deep inhale. And exhale, draw the knees in towards the chest. Release the hands, bring the arms around and grab onto the outsides or tops of the knees, or hug the legs in. Give yourself a nice squeeze. You can release the head down, or you could draw the chin in towards the chest. Maybe some rocking side to side would feel awesome here. Awesome work. One last little bit of core work just for those obliques. So we're going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to release the feet to the ground with the knees bent, opening the feet up to either side. So we're coming into a cobbler's pose. You can bring in blocks to support the knees. You can bring in a bolster underneath the knees if you'd like. And then we want to find that length in the spine. Now, you have the option to support the neck here or to not. So I'm going to, since I got that awesome pain in my neck. So I'm going to return to this hands interlaced, palms open, chin lifting, elbows open. And I'm going to inhale to lift the head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground. So what I'm going to do here, what we're going to do is just a little tiny kind of side crunch. So if the hands are supporting the supporting the head, the elbows are going to come down towards right elbow, right knee, back to center, left elbow, left knee, back to center. If you want to work with strengthening through the neck, or your neck is nice and strong, you don't need that support, you can just reach the hands down, and then as you crunch, right fingertips reach towards the right knee, back through center, left fingertips reach towards the left, reach, not leech, and back towards center. So here we go, we're just moving side to side, nice and slow, working those obliques, building those core muscles. The belly continues to draw down. Awesome work. And I don't really like the word crunch because there really shouldn't be any crunching in the body. Really what we're doing is extending or lengthening and shortening. So as we crunch to the right, we're shortening those muscles and we're bringing the joints together while we extend open through that left side. And we come back through center and we switch it out. So we don't really want to imagine that we're crunching that side body, but we're contracting one side to make length and room for the other side. And both of those actions are supporting the strengthening of the core. So even as we crunch to the right, we're still working the left and vice versa. Awesome work. A few more rounds here. Last one. Working your way back to center, and then when you're ready, release the head and neck down. Release the arms. Maybe the arms come alongside the body. Maybe they rest on the torso, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart, or they could open up. Awesome work. And if it would feel good here, especially if you challenged the neck a little bit with some strengthening and didn't have the hands to support it there the whole time, maybe just rocking the neck side to side. Or just looking side to side, and you can kind of notice that you're not looking directly side to side. Your head kind of creates a little oval shape, a little rounding as it goes side to side. So just take a moment here just to feel into this. Maybe you find stillness, maybe a little bit of movement would feel better. Nice work. And as you feel ready, we'll bring the knees together. You could bring the hands to the outsides of the legs to help bring the legs together, especially if that was an intense hip opener. We held it for a long time, so hips might be feeling it for sure. Awesome work. And I knew what I was going to do next, but now it has escaped me. It will come back. Let's go ahead and walk the feet out a little wider than hip distance, and just some nice little windshield wiper side to side. Yes, now I know where we're going. Little momentary brain fart there. All right, now since we have been doing some work with the corset muscles, with the core, the mid part of the back, the side bodies, the front, we're going to bring in a stretch for the thoracic spine, for the mid part of the back, which is the least bendy part and one of the more challenging to stretch. So we're going to come into a supported fish pose. So you are going to, you don't have to do it supported, but supported is a good way. So you're going to want to find either a block or a bolster or something with a little height. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to start from a seated position. And then whatever it is that you're using as a prop, and you may want a second one to support the head, especially if you have some sensitivity in the neck. But we want to bring a lift in the mid part of the back. So in that thoracic spine. So as we lie back, we want our prop to hit that spot so that we get this lift of the heart. And then you have this permission to lie the head back, but this may be a little too intense. So you can bring in a blanket, a block, a bolster, some sort of cushion. So we've got this lift and opening of the chest. Legs can extend out. Know that that will be a little intense on the low back. That's going to create some arching there. So check in if that feels awesome. Stay there. You can also bend the knees. A little more gentle option there. Now, if you don't have access to blocks, or if you want to do a more traditional fish pose without the blocks there, you're going to want to bring the hands pretty much under the booty. And then the elbows kind of create that block. And it's this opening in the elbows as you start to send it back, as you start to send the head back, which creates that fish shape there. So this is a pretty modified version. There are other ways of doing it, but for this class, either doing it simply like this, or the best way is, I think, with the prop. Then stay in tune with the head, neck, and shoulders, no straining through the neck. Arms can be doing whatever feels awesome here. It could be down alongside the body. It could be out into a T, in a goalpost. You can do one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And allow yourself to just be in the openness of this pose. Heart and chest openers like this are my all-time favorite. And I feel like everyone could use one of these at some point in their day. So much of our activity is spent kind of hunched over or rolling forward, driving on our phones, at our desks. A lot of what we do kind of rolls in and kind of brings this crunching almost. This rounding of the mid-upper back and the neck. So these poses that counter that open up, excuse me, I don't know what's happening to my voice today, where you can bring this opening, you can counteract, especially when you can bring a lift in the back of the heart so that you have more space to open. If you're lying flat on the ground, you're still going to get an opening, but with that lift, if you can take the shoulders further than you could if you were just lying flat on the back, this is an amazing counter stretch for all that forward folding, all that forward rolling in we do in our daily lives. It can help with posture. It can help with tension in the neck and shoulders. It can also feel very vulnerable. We subconsciously are constantly protecting our heart and other vital organs. So to have all of our guts, our heart, everything exposed. Some people might feel a little vulnerable in this pose, might feel a little uncomfortable. Things might arise for you. As long as it's not triggering traumas in an unhealthy way, or if you don't feel like you're in a situation where you could handle those triggers, definitely stay aware of that. But as long as it's not causing any harm or damage, then stay with it. Stay with the sensation, stay with the thoughts. And maybe allow yourself a little moment to rest the nervous system, to get out of that fight or flight that we're almost constantly in. Society already put us at that heightened state even before all of this pandemic stuff. So it just keeps on piling on. And if we don't take the time to really be with it, to really notice how it is affecting our psyche, our bodies, our daily lives, and before we know it, it's overwhelmed us, it's taken over. Just a few more rounds of breath here. And when you feel ready to come out, you are welcome to just roll onto one side of the body, or if you want to take it
if you want to come up kind of like a sit-up, you're going to want to bring the hands to the head to support the neck as you raise up. And then come back up to seat. You can remove the block. Maybe a few more rounds of that seated cat-cow would feel good here. Ooh, yeah, that actually feels really good. Or if there's anything else that would feel good, you could take some more of those torso circles. All right, then we're just gonna come to a seated position and just do a little neck love before we take it down to the ground. So again, find whatever position works for you. Cross-legged, legs extended. You could, again, sit on a chair. I'm gonna sit up on a prop. Because we wanna be able to find a solid connection to the sits bones and then use that connection to lengthen through the spine. So often when we are sitting on the ground, it kind of limits our range of motion, and if we already have tight hips or a tight low back, then we might feel like we have to round out or kind of lean back. So that lift of the booty, that tilting of the pelvis can really help. All right, so we're gonna inhale, sitting up nice and tall. Exhale, drop the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Oh, you'll probably be able to go further than me. This is pretty much what I got today. Breathe into it. Hands can stay where they are. That left hand could extend and could explore. You could bring the left fingertips to the shoulder and kind of move around. You could bring that hand to the low back and kind of move around. So you're welcome to play with the movement of the shoulder and of the arm to kind of explore that sensation, or just find some peace there, breathing into it. Oh, it is unreal that the body can freak out sometimes without any real known trigger. Okay, when you're ready, inhale back up through center. Exhale, we'll take it over to the other side. Ooh, which is not much better for me. Awesome work. Again, you can stay here, find that breath, or you could extend the right arm out, maybe start to play with it in space. Some movement in the shoulder through the arm, but definitely not necessary if you want to just pause and chill and breathe. You can always give yourself a little massage as well. And just like we did at the beginning, as you continue to check in with the body, with the breath, if there's anywhere in the body that maybe needs a little extra love, you could bring the hand and breathe, or a little massage. Awesome work. When you're ready, inhale back up through center. Awesome work. We're just gonna take some neck rolls. So we're gonna start by letting the chin drop down towards the chest. Ooh, even that one got me. Oh, let that head hang heavy as you continue to sit up nice and tall. So just the chin is dropping down. We're not letting the shoulders roll forward. We're not rounding out in the upper back. We've still got that nice tall strength in the spine and the shoulders dropping away from the ears. And then when you're ready on an inhale, we'll just kind of swing the head with control over towards the right. Pausing with the right ear hovering over the right shoulder. Then exhale, chin back down towards the chest. And kind of with control, swinging the head over towards the left and pausing with the ear hovering over the shoulder. And then if you want, you can just kind of continue to play here with these little half neck rolls. Oh my goodness. Ooh. If you do want to explore some full neck rolls, just be aware of those delicate bones in the back of the neck. So you can lift and find extension. The head can come back as it rolls around, but what we don't want is to throw the head back. We don't want to dump all of the weight into those delicate bones of the cervical spine. So we're taking either half neck rolls or full neck rolls. When you're ready, if you are taking those full neck rolls, go ahead and switch the direction. And again, feel free to pause at any point to breathe deep. Excuse me. Oh, man. go get a massage or some acupuncture or something, because that neck of mine is pretty angry at me. All right. As you feel ready, wrap up the exploration through the neck. And then just continue to explore any other final movements, any stretches, anything that the body is craving, anything that will feel awesome right now. Take your time. And then eventually we'll start to set up our final relaxation, our Shavasana. And you have the autonomy to do whatever you want in this one. You could stay seated, you could lie down, you could lie on the side, you could lie on the belly. Take your time. If there's a pose or a few poses that the body's craving that would really help wrap up this practice for you, take as much time as you'd like to explore those. And then eventually, as you feel ready, making your way into your Shavasana. You're welcome to use props in any way to support you. Really no wrong way to do this. And now that we've taken some time to really consciously move through the body, to feel this movement in the body, to check in with the mind, to check in with the emotions, take another moment to do that. Now, we've been tuning in for the last hour. Just like we did at the beginning, just check in physically. Mentally, emotionally. What's going on for you? Are there things that are lying just underneath the surface, giving you that low background hum that can be a little distracting, can just add a level of stress? Things that are just ready to, they're just bubbling right above the surface, and just one more thing will just set it off. Our Shavasana is an opportunity for us to kind of play in the little in-between between conscious and subconscious. Now we're surrendering our bodies, our minds, our spirits to this moment, but not so much surrendering that we fall asleep. So we find that space in between awake and asleep, the space of pure consciousness. And we're able to see what is just below the surface. What are things that we may not have been dealing with, or small little things that are just building up and building up and building up until they snowball into something big. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes not so subtle. And know that you don't have to change anything. You don't have to try to fix anything right now. Simply observing. Simply notice. What is there? What comes up for you? If you have more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, please take as much time as you can give yourself, from 5 to 20 minutes. No matter what kind of yoga you're practicing, this time, the Shavasana, is where the real magic happens, where the real work is done. As you feel ready, gently start to bring some movement back into the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes, rolling through the wrists and ankles. Eventually bring a little more movement to the limbs. And if you're on the ground and not already there, gently start to make your way onto your side body. Taking a moment in a nurturing pose, just to pause. And then as you feel ready, gently make your way back up to a comfortable seat. Invite you to bring the hands to heart center or take any other meaningful gesture with the hands. And take a moment to simply offer yourself some gratitude for carving out this time, to have the bravery to explore, to go inside, to get in tune with how you're feeling, what you're experiencing, not just bypassing things that don't feel right or don't feel good. Not just trying to force a happy face, but to actually connect with what's going on for you. And to give yourself this opportunity to move and breathe and connect. And thank you so much for your willingness to explore, for your willingness to show up. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste.